Last time we finished off the interior, so this time we needed to do some work on the chassis and finishing this entire build off. So first of all, I'm just going to prime all the engine and chassis components, then paint them in some various different colors, and then move on to doing some assembly after some detail painting. I get a lot of questions from you guys as what ratio you need to thin your paints for when you're going to use it for the airbrush. Now, most of the paints I use, like Zero Paints or Gravity Colors, are already pre-thinned and I don't thin them any extra. But in this case, I'm going to paint the clear parts with some clear red, and the rear and side glass I'm going to do with some Tamiya smoke. So just to show you, I just pour some random amount of paint and then some random amount of thinners in it, and I just mix it up. If it's not thin enough, I just add a bit more thinner, and if it is thin enough like it was this first try, I just spray it out a bit, see if it's exactly the way that I want it to be, and then move on. Now, the thickness I always keep is a thickness like milk. It flows the same way like milk, and it just feels the same way as milk at this consistency. So just try some, add some more thinner if you're not happy, or leave it if you are. Then just apply a couple of thin coats, letting them dry in between, and after about 4 coats, they actually start to turn clear red and look the way they are supposed to. And the same goes for the tint on the rear windows. Just apply a couple of light coats of smoke, also thinned a bit with the additional thinner from Tamiya for the acrylics, and after about 4 to 5 coats, they look a lot darker than they normally are. Well, with that all said and done, let's just move on to adding some more detail and some second colors on a lot of parts by just brushing them on with some Vallejo acrylic paints. While the paint on these detailed parts dried up, I moved on to assembling the first couple of pieces, starting off with the engine. After assembling the engine, I set that aside and assembled a couple of pieces on the chassis in order to make it ready for the engine to be glued together with that. before I moved on to doing the other side of the chassis, I first added some Tamiya Panelline accent colors all around the place, just to dirty it up a bit and make it a bit more shady, and not just one clean color all over the place. I gave the Panelline accent color some time to dry and then moved on to doing some more of the assembly, but then on the other side of the chassis, just gluing all these painted parts together with some BSI Bob Smith Industries super glue. Nothing fancy, but it works really well on the paint and it doesn't really affect it, and it just sticks as well as it would without paint. Now that most of the chassis is all assembled and detailed, I needed to get the body ready, just starting to glue in some various bits and pieces in order to get it ready for the interior and chassis to be dropped in. The interior dropped in really easily. The chassis, on the other hand, needed a bit of pushing and pulling around on the body on all the edges and those sharp corners, but with a bit of finesse it can be clicked in really easily. Now that the interior and chassis are together with the body, I could move on to finishing off the exterior detail, starting it off with the clear parts, just putting some wax on and then removing it just to give that extra clear part shininess. For these clear parts, I will be using Bob Smith Industries as suggested by a subscriber. This is their Super Gold Plus formula. It is safe to use with clear parts, but it is still super glue, so be very careful as it glues stuff together really easily and some spatters will not be taken off lightly. So with those just glued in all around, I moved on to adding the black border around the front and taillight lenses and then glued those on the body as well. With all those clear parts now glued on, I can move on to some final detailing as the exhaust parts and the engine cover, and also do the side mirrors. Now normally I would drill a hole in those, add a pin to secure them a bit more to the body, but these are really finely detailed and did not really leave any space to make them stronger, so I just used what was there, the small pin and the hole in the body, added some glue and put them in place, made sure they were pointing in the right direction, and finished this off by adding the vents on the side as well, and then moved on to gluing the wheels in place. Now luckily these hobby design wheels fit perfectly inside of these brakes without any modification whatsoever. The only thing I did was remove the pins where it would be located on the hub inside of the wheel well, just to lower it a couple of millimeters and make it look a bit meaner and not like a tractor. So just sanded that smooth and test fitted it in the wheel and aligned the wheel on the body to see if it stuck out any, and it did not. It was a perfect offset, nicely inside the wheel well, filled it up really good as well, so it could all be glued together easily without any much more modification.